Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Johnny. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing the ETOE Projector. Now, I want to say that this projector was sent free from the company ETOE as a product review, but they aren't paying me any money. They just sent me the product for review, so this will be 100% my personal opinion on what I think about the product. We are going to go ahead and unbox the ETOE Projector. This is not a portable projector. It's actually a projector that you just connect to the wall and use it as your media projector in your room. So we're going to actually see this device and we're going to go ahead and review it and tell you guys what I think about it. So first of all, I want to mention some of the stuff that it brings. As you guys can see, it is a 400 ANSI lumens projector. That is really not too bad for these small projectors. Actually gives you pretty decent quality, I would assume. It also has 1080p resolution and dual 3-watt audio speakers and keystone correction. So yeah, that's not bad for this projector at all. So let's go ahead and unbox it and see what's inside. So as you guys already know, if you want to see how the packaging comes in, it is pretty basic, I would say. It has a padding and you got a box here as well, which I would assume brings like the controller, and the actual projector is inside of it. There's nothing more on the box, so let's go ahead and check out the projector first and see how it is. So yeah, the packaging is pretty good. I like the way they package everything. It also doesn't really feel low quality. It actually feels pretty high quality as a projector. In terms of the build quality, it definitely feels really well. It has this sort of texture with the two speakers. These are pretty big speakers. It has them on each side, as you guys can see. Yeah, so you got two speakers. I believe that's what they meant by the dual speakers on each side. And on your back, as you guys can see, it has the power cord, the USB that you can plug in to play media files, and an HDMI port, a headphone jack, and I believe that's pretty much it. So it really doesn't have that much options. It also brings a button on top that I would assume to turn it on or turn up the volume. I would assume so. So it's pretty basic for usage. It has its HDMI as well, and as you guys can see, the lens as well are in the front. And it has a tripod area that you can actually connect to the projector right there. So you can connect it to a tripod. If you have the adapter for that, it can go in the tripod. So let's put that aside and open up the box and see what it brings. As you guys may notice, it brings your standard power cord. I actually like the power cord. It's not too big in terms of like other power cords. It's pretty convenient as well, and as well as your power cord right there that goes into the power as well. And you have a manual as well that you can use. Now, I do recommend you read the manual, because one thing that I have noticed on this projector is the focusing. You have to read the manual, but I'll explain that later in the video, which is not a bad thing. Also, you have your standard controller. Now, this is a pretty basic controller. It's by no means anything super expensive. It's a basic controller. I do like the finish quality on the exterior of the controller. Doesn't really have much options, as this projector is mainly just for plugging it in and putting an HDMI on it, a Fire Stick, or anything that you may own, because it does not have an Android system OS or something where you can put Netflix and stuff, which is not a bad thing. Its primary purpose is to be used as a projector. It won't bring batteries, unfortunately. This kind of sucks that it doesn't bring batteries, but not a big deal. We'll get some batteries and hook it up to the wall. So overall, the packaging is pretty simple. You don't get that much stuff. You get a decent amount of stuff, but just the projector in itself and its controller and its power cord, basically. Not a bad thing at all, and the manual as well. So it's pretty straightforward. And what really matters in the next part of the review, we're going to test out the quality of this projector to see if it actually has a good image quality. So before we get started with reviewing this projector, I want to show you guys what kind of setup I have in my basement movie theater room where I'm going to be testing out the projector. This wall is obviously over 200 inches, I believe, and I usually project images onto this wall as a projector in the movie theater room. So one thing that I have to mention, because this wall is so big, a lot of these budget projectors are gonna give pretty bad quality when it's too far back. But with 120 inches of the screen or 100 inches, it should be fine. The quality will look better as I put the projector closer to the wall. And this is understandable because a lot of projectors, like I have to mention, is that once they go back further back, if they're the budget ones, the quality will diminish due to the lumens, I believe. But as I put it closer, the quality will definitely improve as we go with the review. Now, I'm personally starting pretty far back, but I will be moving the projector slowly to the front more when the quality gets adjusted. I haven't adjusted it completely yet, but I will be adjusting it as we go in the review. That way you guys can actually see the perfect quality for a 100-inch wall, 120-inch wall that you guys can see. Right now I have even corrected the focus and everything, so that's gonna take a little bit once I get everything set up. So I went ahead and plugged in the projector into my wall outlet in order for it to get power. But there were some things that I want to talk about before I actually start using the projector. And one thing that is really noticeable is that you're gonna have a very unfocused image onto the wall. So with your controller, you're gonna have to press one of these two buttons. I don't know if it's this one or this one, where it's going to allow you to focus the screen onto the wall. So yeah, right now I have to align my projector simply because it's not really well lined up. And as you guys can see, it's also not really well focused, which I have to actually focus it to make it better. So yeah, this is over 100 inches on my wall, and we're gonna go ahead and turn off the light so we can actually see the image. So it's not fully well focused. Like I said, it's gonna be one of these buttons. You're probably not gonna notice what button it is, but it is definitely one of these buttons on the controller. And basically it's gonna give you the option to focus in the screen however you want. That way you guys don't have a bad image quality when you're focusing it. So yeah, just keep trying to focus the screen, and eventually you'll get a good image by holding the button down until you find your personal preference on the focusing. Sometimes it requires less. So wow, the quality is not looking too bad on the projector, to be honest. Once I'm focusing the image, you got your keystone as well. I would leave it in the default, but I think I kind of moved it around a little bit, just because I wanted to test it out. So anyways, let's go ahead and set it up. And I think that's pretty good for what it is. It's really focused pretty well. So we're gonna go ahead and focus the image again onto the wall. As you guys may notice, it took a while for me to focus it, but I'm getting a way sharper image now. So basically all you have to do is select your language. It's pretty basic. It doesn't really give you a lot of options as other projectors, because I mean, it's a budget friendly projector. So as you guys can see, you got iOS mirroring, iOS Wi-Fi mirroring, and Android mirroring as well. It also is compatible with Bluetooth devices, so you may be able to connect a sound bar to it, and it has the signal source. And we're gonna check on the settings. As you guys know, the projection settings are kind of normal: front table, manual. You can also put the keystone correction in automatic. It actually gives you an option. I personally would leave it in automatic. In my opinion, it just looks better in automatic, and I would leave it in automatic. All right, the focusing, I think I could probably do a better job of making it more focused or more better. I think that looks way better. Yeah, I think that actually made it more sharper, the image. So you're just gonna have to play around with your focusing settings on your projector, the focus settings, to you're able to actually project a sharp image. So I think that looks way better than I had it before. So just play around with it, and eventually you'll find a setting that you personally like. Now the remote is not Bluetooth controlled, so you're gonna have to point it at the projector. It gives you different settings, default input sound, factory settings, but there's really not much to this as well. I would say that in terms of OS, this projector doesn't really have an OS, so you're kind of stuck with the stuff that it comes with. You have to connect the HDMI unit to the projector. That way you can get a different type of experience if you want an Android box experience, or if you want a Fire Stick or any other device that you use. A NVIDIA Shield is what I recommend. So we're going to go in companion mode. Basically what companion mode is gives you a bunch of high quality 1080p images that will let you see the quality of the projector. Now, I'm probably over 150 inches away from the screen, probably a couple of feet, probably like 20 feet away from the screen on my wall. And this is over 100 inches. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed for the most part in the quality image that the projector has onto the wall, because it looks really clear. This image of this dog right here looks really awesome. So I'm actually quite impressed compared to other projectors that I have reviewed in the past. They don't really have this good quality type of image, and I like the quality of the image. So I kind of do believe that their 400 ANSI lumens is actually legit, because while I'm looking at the quality onto the TV, it actually looks pretty good. And this is a pretty big projected screen onto the wall. I'm pretty sure it's over 100 inches. Obviously, if I move the projector closer to the wall, which we will later, we're going to see the quality on how it looks. It will look way better. Now, for most people that use a projector, the size screen on my wall is extremely big, so it's overkill. For example, not everybody is going to project their image that big onto the wall. If you have a room, you're probably gonna have a smaller wall, so the quality also improves. But I have to say, this does pass my test in terms of if I have a big screen onto it, it gives me pretty decent quality image onto the wall. All right, so they have a couple of preset videos here. We're gonna go ahead and try another one as well to see how the quality looks like. So this no one actually is pretty cool as well. It does look pretty good as well. I like the quality image on it. You have the beach right there as well. That looks really good as well. I'm actually pretty impressed with the quality. Now, I'm not saying it's the best quality I've seen in a projector, but it's definitely something not bad. This could be doable if you're just using a projector like this. The water as well. This one actually shows out the colors a little bit more on it. And I have to say, I can't deny it. I like the way the quality looks. It really doesn't look too bad on the screen. So does it pass my test in terms of quality? I would have to say yes. It's really good. It's really good quality. I do like the quality of the projector. I'm glad that they included these already, so you guys can actually check out the quality without having to put anything. So I have to say the quality passes my test. It looks amazing on my screen or on my wall. It looks really good. So I would assume that even with movies or stuff like that, it's going to look pretty good. I do like that about the projector. So far, I am very impressed. We're going to go back to the quality test, and we're going to test it out at a smaller size as well, if that improves it as well. Like I said, my screen is definitely over 120 inches on the wall, so it's a pretty big screen. I use a pretty big screen downstairs in my basement, and this wall is pretty big. And trust me, for the typical user, they're not even gonna have the amount of space for the wall that I have here. Well, some people do, but I'm using a big wall. So in the camera, you may not notice it, but it is a very big wall. All right, we're going to go ahead and do another test after this. We're going to be moving on to the next part of the video, and I'm going to go ahead and test it out with gaming, because I know a lot of people ask the question, will this projector work with my gaming devices? And in theory, it should definitely work with your gaming devices. And we're going to go ahead and do a test with a Nintendo Switch. I personally think if I did the PlayStation 5 connected, it's a little bit overkill, but it will work with the PlayStation 5 as well. But I like to use this projector with my Nintendo Switch, simply because the Nintendo Switch gives me simple games where I can test the frame rate and see if it actually gives me a pretty good frame rate while I'm playing the game. Alright, so one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is that, yes, the image is pretty sharp for this projector. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm definitely surprised on how it looks on my screen. I really like it. I really like the way it looks. And I'm not even kidding you, it looks really good. So one of the games that I usually like to try out is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. Personally, the reason I like to try out this game is because it let me know whether there's going to be a lot of latency or stuff like that while I'm using the projector. So that is one of the reasons why I like using it. Alright, but we're gonna leave it in mute. Well, we're not gonna leave it in mute. We're gonna go ahead and lower it down. And later we're gonna do a sound quality test on how it sounds. So we're gonna go ahead and play single player, doesn't matter, as well. 150 cc. One thing that I do wanna check on this projector is if it has, a lot of people wanna know if it has a game mode. It really doesn't have a game mode. It has settings where you can change the color temperature. You can put it to cold, which kind of makes it look a little bit more different, washed out. Normal, I think it's the best one, and it has an option of warm, so it doesn't hurt your eyes too much. And then you can do your own custom settings and personal. Personally, I think normal is the best calibrated setting on this projector. You're really not going to be doing a lot of calibration with this projector, but I would say leave it in normal. It's the best setting on the projector. It doesn't have a game mode, so yeah. Alright, so one of the things that I want to try out that was really interesting to me is how the latency feels on the projector. If it can pass Mario Kart on it, then it should be pretty decent to play games with friends or family as well on it. So far, I'm not really experiencing a lag when I am choosing options in the game, so that's a really good sign on this projector that I'm not really experiencing any lag. And one thing that I want to mention is that this room that I have downstairs is 100% controlled light, so everything in here is blacked out. There's no windows in here, so everything is literally blacked out down here. Alright, I have to take out the, is it the smart steering, the tilt controls. I want to take them out. The tilt controls kind of don't let me experience how the projector works. Alright, I'm really not feeling any type of lag for real. The lag is not there. Usually there's a latency lag that kind of feels like your buttons aren't pressing at the right time. I'm not getting that in this projector, so everything is pressing well at the same time. So that is a major plus, because I tried other projectors and you feel a lag, and in reality in this one I'm not feeling 100% lag at all. I don't even feel it. It feels like playing normal. Now, I'm not gonna say it's the best thing. I know there's professional gamers out there who feel the lag on projectors, but in reality, this is really doable. If for the average consumer, you're going to play this with your friends and they're not gonna feel any lag. They're gonna enjoy it as much as you do, because it definitely feels good enough. So I definitely am impressed by the projector, how it's very responsive while I'm playing a game. I don't feel any lag. So that is a major plus for me because I'm not really feeling a lag on this projector. It definitely is responsive when I'm running or anything, when I'm steering as well. It's about the same time. Now, I don't have any professional meter to actually test out the latency, but I just have to say it definitely runs well. And I do feel the 60 FPS. I'm not sure if this game is 60 FPS, but if it is it does feel like 60 FPS for the most part. Um, but yeah, it's running pretty well on the projector. We're gonna go ahead and try out a Resident Evil 4 on the projector to see how that actually performs on the projector. I would assume it does a pretty well job as well on the projector. Let's go ahead and test out Resident Evil 4. This is a shooter game, so it would make sense for me to test it out on here. It will let me know if the game runs really well. Let's go ahead and load up my saved data here and test it out. Okay, so I personally think I didn't put save earlier enough. Yeah, Resident Evil is a pretty dark game as well. You know the kind of coloring that it has on it. It's kind of weird sometimes to me, but everything is running pretty smooth on it. Let's see how it feels with shooting my enemies. Yes, very responsive. I gotta say, and I'm impressed with the quality. This is definitely playable. Personally, I wouldn't even shrink the size of the screen, but for the purpose of this video, I am going to shrink the size of the screen. I think this is a perfect size screen. It's pretty big, but I am overall very well impressed with the projector's performance. It's doing pretty good. I'm even playing Resident Evil 4 on here with no issues. So I think it definitely passed my gaming test. For the average person, I have to say this is a pretty good projector, and I definitely would recommend it for gaming. It's not the worst projector I played with while gaming. And for a budget, I have to say it's definitely a really good gaming projector for most games. Obviously, nothing competitive like Call of Duty will definitely be something that you would want to play with, but for average games like storyline games, Mario Kart, I think it just passes the test for you to game on it, and it feels 100% good as well. So I definitely like that about the projector. It's doing really well and it's performing pretty well, and everything is very responsive as well. I know for a fact, I think the remake of this game or remastered is definitely 60 FPS, and it runs pretty smooth. So it definitely passes the test for gaming. So it is gaming approved in my opinion. I do like the way it does look. The next test that I'm going to be doing on the projector is I'm going to test out the full capacity of these speakers with lo-fi music and how they actually sound. So this is something I kind of wanted to do in the video, that way I can see the quality of the speakers, if they're good or not. So we're gonna go ahead and play some stump playlists which has no copyright, the type of videos that I have to use in order to not get copyrighted. So we're gonna go ahead and play one of these videos, and we're gonna turn up the volume all the way. Right now we have a commercial. I definitely hate these commercials on YouTube. So let's go ahead and play it and turn up the volume, and then I will be quiet on my microphone. So I do have to say one thing is that they're not as loud as I expected them to be. They're actually kind of pretty low on lo-fi music. And you can definitely hear the staticky sound on the noise on the speakers. I personally wouldn't say they're the best speakers I've actually tried out, but they aren't the worst either. They're definitely something that you can hear on them. They will not literally break on you. So if you're just trying to watch for the casual stuff or video game, you can still use the speakers, but I wouldn't recommend them like 100% saying that it's going to give you the best audio quality because it will not. But it's still passable. I would have to say that's pretty typical for most projectors. Most people on their setups, they either have a sound bar, but it's still a little nice feature that they do include some speakers on the projector. That way you don't have to actually buy some if you're like a person like me that doesn't really like buying extra stuff. So I have to say they do pass the test as passable, but don't expect anything like Dolby Atmos. If you want better audio quality, you're going to have to connect your own soundbar to the projector or your own stereo system or whatever kind of speakers you have. You will have to connect it to it, which you can do on this projector as well. Alright, so the next thing that I wanted to do was shrink the size of the screen to test the image quality of the projector, and I went ahead and put the projector closer to the wall. Now I'm obviously getting a smaller screen on the wall, but it's really not that small. I believe it's over 100 inches, probably over 120 inches in terms of size screen. It's still pretty big. And I have to say that the quality even improved a lot. It has improved a lot. Even by doing that, it still looks amazing. And you're getting a sharper image in terms of quality. So I would have to say that the lumens of 400 ANSI, what they advertise on the projector, is probably true because there's projectors that have more lumens or ANSI lumens, and they're not as clear as this. So I think that what they're marketing, it is definitely true. They're not lying about the ANSI because I'm getting pretty good quality image on the screen, and it does look really well. Like I'm showing you guys a couple of footage of this as well on how it looks, and it definitely is really good. Especially this image of the dog. It's showing it's really showing the quality in the projector. Now, for a budget, I have to say that it's definitely worth it, in my opinion. Now, I've seen other projectors that are low budget as well, but they don't even come near as close to this quality that I'm getting on this projector. So I'd have to say it's pretty good. The only thing that it's not a portable projector, as many people keep confusing it for some reason. I thought it was portable at first, but it's not, which is not a big deal, but either way, it's still pretty good quality. As you guys can see, the colors are pretty bright. For the casual user, I think this will definitely be a good projector. So for the next test, I wanted to test out Resident Evil 4 on the Nintendo Switch again to show the quality of the projector. And while I have a smaller screen than I did before, it's still showing some pretty good quality on the projector. Definitely looks more sharper for a game like this. So I would say that I do recommend you actually, if you have the opportunity to have a little bit of better image quality, that you put the projector closer to the wall or closer to your projected screen, because it does improve the quality a lot. And I think it's even playable. Like I mentioned before, this projector is playable with story mode games or even Mario Party or Mario Kart, which most people, that's what they usually play when they have a projector. So I definitely do recommend it. Everything still feels the same. I really don't feel that much of a lag. As I mentioned before, it still holds up at the same time. The buttons are very responsive and no delay. So yeah, I'm definitely satisfied with the projector, especially with how the price is going, and the other projectors that are out there that aren't really good. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention is that, are the movies good at this projector? I have to confirm that they do look good on the projector. As you guys saw the sample images that they give us, in the beginning. However, I couldn't play a movie in this video simply because every time I play a movie scene, I always get a copyright claim. But I have to say that the movies do look pretty good. Just like the images I shown you earlier, or the videos that I shown you earlier that the projector brings. Yes, if you have a 1080p Blu-ray, Netflix, or whatever, it gives it pretty good quality. So you're not getting bad quality when you put content in this projector. And I was really impressed by that as well. Also, a couple of things that I want to mention. How does the fan noise sound on this projector? Believe it or not, I have used other projectors that the fan noise is extremely loud. But even in a quiet environment, it really doesn't sound that loud to me. It's actually pretty average. Yes, you can hear the fan, but it's not going pretty high like certain projectors. Certain projectors give you a lot of noise, like a jet engine sound. This one, however, is pretty moderate. I would say it's pretty low. Now, it could be lower, but at the same time, it's not bad. So that's another thing that impressed me about this projector as
Now that
well.
we're nearing the end of this video, I'm going to give my final thoughts and opinions about the ETOE Projector, and I'm going to go over some of the pros and cons. So the first pros that I'm going to be talking about is the great budget and great image quality. So let me talk about the great budget. This projector is actually around $189 or $200 on Amazon. There's currently a coupon going out there that will give you that discounted price around that price range for $200. I think normally it is priced around $300 or more on Amazon, but right now there is a coupon that discounts you $108. I don't know how long that will last, but if it's still lasting a while for that great price point at $200 with that coupon, I think it's definitely worth it. It is a great budget because I have to say that this projector had pretty good image quality, and for a beginner projector, it's actually pretty good because the image quality is really doable on this projector. Like, I don't have any complaints on the image quality. Now, I'm not saying that it's something like an expensive projector that has super sharp image quality with like a $2,000 projector, but this is definitely a good quality projector on a budget. I was really, really well surprised. And I have reviewed the other projectors in the past that are around the same price range, but this one definitely has to take the top of the great image quality because it did surprise me. And if you have a dark lit room, this projector will be 100% great for you. I didn't really test it in the lighting environment with the sun coming in through the window because I personally always have tried out it with these projectors that are lower budgets, that most of the times the quality doesn't look really good in the lighting when there's lighting through the window, unless you have darkened your room in some way where you have like the blinds going down and there's not too much light coming in. But for a dark lit room, which most people will use for entertainment while they're laying in bed in the room at night, I have to say it is a great budget and it does give you a great quality image. All right, the other pro that I liked about this projector that it has a low fan noise in the projector. To be honest, this is the only budget projector that I really didn't hear the fan a lot. I don't know what's going on with the internals. I had $2,000 projectors that are louder than this, and I really like that it had low fan noise. Now, I'm not saying that it isn't noticeable, but at the same time, it's very, very low. I didn't really notice it as much as other projectors. And I think I really like that about the projector. It has low fan noise, so some people who are looking for a budget friendly projector and don't want too much fan noise, this one is perfect as well. You can barely hear the fan, so it passes that test as well. The other pro that I got from the projector is that it has a great response. Now, I'm not saying this is a great response in terms of this is going to be the projector where you're going to be gaming every single day or you're going to be playing pro competitive gaming like Call of Duty. Personally, these projectors will never be good for Call of Duty games because they are low budget projectors. But it definitely has a great response in Mario Kart and as well as Resident Evil game that I tried out. So it's perfect for storyline games in my opinion. I did feel that it did have 60 FPS, so it does handle the 60 FPS on the projector because I felt like the frames were going at 60 FPS. I noticed the difference. I play a lot of PC games and I did notice it. So it has great response. I'm not saying it's the best response or latency or lag in the gameplay, but it's just great that you can actually play a game and not feel too much of a lag. So that surprised me as well on this projector. It's great for gaming casually. I'm not saying anything pro, but it's definitely great for gaming casual. Now, one of the reasons I mentioned this in my pros is because I've tried other projectors as well. There are lower budget, but they really give a bad delay lag that you can't even play Mario Kart or you can't even play games on it because you feel like it's lagging while you're inputting it on your controller. This projector, however, you don't really feel that. So that is a major pro for this projector. Now we're going to be moving to the cons. Personally, the first one that I didn't really like is that it has no OS. Now, this is an easy fix. You can use a Fire Stick, NVIDIA Shield. A lot of people have these smart devices in their homes that they can switch over to use these devices. But even the cheapest projectors that I have tried out in the past with low budget, they have these type of apps already installed, or Android OS that I have been seeing a lot common. So that kind of sucked that it didn't have a OS, but it's not a major killer. Most of the times, even the lower budget OSs are really laggy or don't have app support for Netflix. So I always recommend kind of that you get a Fire Stick. So not a big con, but if you're a person that's looking for a OS, it doesn't really have a smart OS like Android TV. You can mirror to it, but you can't like use apps like Netflix, Hulu, or Disney Plus. So that might be a con for some people. However, I do say that I believe there is another model that you can get that does have a OS that's available on Amazon as well. So if you, it costs a little bit more. I think it costs like $100 or $50 more, but it gives you an OS. The second con is the remote. Now, this is not really the projector's fault. I'm pretty sure they're trying to keep a budget on the projector to keep the price down. The remote is pretty bad. I have to say that it's really not usable, in my opinion, to actually use the remote because it really only it kind of lags, and sometimes not lag, but sometimes it's not. You have to aim it directly at the projector, or else you won't get a response. If you're like far away or the projector is hidden somewhere, and you're not aiming it with the IR remote, you're not gonna be able to change certain inputs that you want to change on the projector. Now, this is not really an issue with this projector, to be honest. It's probably not even the biggest issue with it, even though the remote is not the best remote, because it's not really a smart OS projector. You can't really go through apps. It's just mainly for volume and changing the image quality or keystone or focusing. Basically, basic stuff that you use with the projector. So it's doable. It's not the worst thing. The third con is the speakers. Now, I know that these are low budget quality projectors, but the speakers aren't really that good. As you noticed in my review, you saw that they were kind of staticky and they were kind of low for surprisingly, but it was still enough to hear the audio or the coming out of the projector. They're just there. And most of the time, speakers on the projector aren't really the highest quality except for the high-end ones that are like $2,000. So it's understandable if the speakers aren't going to be the best thing. If you're looking for great audio, just get a soundbar and connect it to the projector. The next con is that it doesn't have red, yellow, or white connections into the projector. So if you want to play like classic VHS or Nintendo 64 or GameCube consoles, it does not have that feature. Um, Now, I understand most people aren't really using those type of cables anymore, but I'm pretty sure there is a little bit of people out there that like to play retro games on it. So that can be a con for some people. It doesn't really have that many ports. I'm pretty sure it's to keep the cost down, but it's not the biggest con that you're going to experience in the projector. Still an amazing projector. Alright, so those are pretty much all the cons that I'm talking about in this video, and we're going to be talking about my overall conclusion if you should buy this projector. I have to say that if you're looking for a budget projector or something that has great image and pretty good gameplay, great response, and low fan noise, I have to say that this projector overall beats most of the cons. It's definitely a budget-friendly projector that anyone can afford, or to start off using projectors, or don't want to spend a lot of money on a setup and they just want a decent projector that performs well in their room. I would definitely recommend it to buy. So overall, I was impressed with it. It definitely has its cons, but most of the cons outweigh most of the pros outweigh the cons. So I definitely recommend it for anyone that's looking for a budget projector. I will be leaving the link in the description if you want to check out this projector. Definitely check it out. I will leave the link in the description if you actually want to get it. Like I said, again, it's most of it was positive in reviewing this projector. I don't feel like it is the worst projector that I have reviewed. So there's a lot of pros and minor cons that I don't really think are a big deal. Just some stuff that I like to mention because there are always cons to every product. But I'm impressed by it. Definitely recommend it if you are looking for a budget projector. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Make sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button for more reviews in the future.